It's all looking pretty promising so far. And then in towards the next series of corners, nice and smooth through there, and he's up. Brilliant stuff there from Kylian Drumont, but he's lost it into the right-hander. And what has happened to the Frenchman here? Something's gone wrong for him.
这是今年奥运电竞赛车比赛中的一幕，夺冠大热门杜蒙正在进行他的排位单圈，突然他的车辆上墙停在路边，我和现场观众一起发出了难以置信的惊呼。要知道他可是本场比赛的最大热门，而这样的戏剧性场景其实只是整个奥运电竞赛车项目的缩影。大家好，我是欢乐仔 Racing Raymond。这次在 GT 赛车7上举办的奥运电竞赛事，从最初的赛制披露到最后的决赛阶段，都出现了地铁老头看手机式的操作。在前瞻视频里，我们已经回顾了本届比赛海选的热度和结果，而这次我们就来看看那些官方想让大家遗忘的细节。自从去年国际奥委会确定今年6月将在新加坡举办奥运电竞周活动，玩家们就在等待比赛细节的公布。3月1日，比赛项目公开，确认 GT 赛车项目回归，但在赛事安排上，只知道仍然延续了上一届的海选加决赛的赛事结构，具体规则并未透露。奥运官网上当时写着赛车项目将在4月13日开始海选，但来到4月13日时，玩家们却惊讶地发现，奥运官网上4月13日这个时间消失了，取而代之的是一个模糊的即将开始的信息。难道比赛还有变数？要知道这时其他奥运项目的海选要么已经结束，要么正在进行中，而且海选所使用的赛道和赛车也早在3月底就更新到了游戏里，却迟迟未能开赛。最终在4月20日，奥运和 GT 赛车官网更新信息，海选将从4月27日开始，持续10天。如果说海选延迟2周开始还算是个无伤大雅的插曲，最终披露出来的赛制才让所有有意参与竞争的玩家大跌眼镜。奥运一贯讲究公平公正，全球参与，这本无可厚非，但在赛车项目上，这一价值取向严重左倾。跟上一届相同的地方是，每一个奥委会成员国家或地区只能有1人入围，但与上一届不同的是，本届比赛除了上次允许参赛的66个国家或地区外，还允许全球其他地区的选手参加。但这里问题来了， GT 赛车的玩家都知道，游戏内比赛时，玩家的 PSN ID 或昵称旁会挂上所属国家或地区的旗子，这是根据账号注册时选择的国家或地区展示的。而账号注册时的可选项是索尼实际开展了 PlayStation 游戏主机业务的地区，账号选择了某个地区，就要遵守该地区的合规要求。比如中国大陆的 PSN 账号注册时就必须走一遍实名认证流程。中国大陆在2015年才正式有了 PS 主机业务，而在那之前，绝大部分大陆地区的 PS 主机玩家注册的都是中国香港账号。前面说的66个国家或地区，就是在游戏里能展示出自己旗帜的地区。只有这些地区的玩家能直接通过游戏参加海选，选出最快的11人进入新加坡的线下比赛，他们是所谓的一组。而国际奥委会承认的国家或地区有206个，其他成员在游戏里没有自己的地区旗帜，要如何参赛呢？国际汽联给出了解决方案。从4月21日通过的国际汽联竞赛规则文件中可以看到，是在其他地区中选出73个，组成了所谓的2组，由这些地区政府组建的被国际汽联承认的赛车运动主管机构主动推举选手参赛，直接进入到新加坡的线下比赛，可以说是领了绿通证。而这些地区的玩家由于常年没有官方的 PS 主机业务，无法参与 GT 赛车的各类赛事，整体的水平都不高，在 GT 赛车圈子里没有任何知名度。在讲求水平接近、遵守规则和礼仪的赛车比赛里，突然多出来了一群无人了解的对手，无异于一颗大炸弹。中国香港选手黄启轩在 Twitter 直言，线上海选最快的10个人进入奥运，要跟其他根本不知道玩不玩 GT 赛车的人比赛，这很公平啊。不过索尼和开发商 PD 显然知道这个情况，甚至可以从海选延期、比赛细则在最后时刻才通过的事实合理推测，他们煞费苦心的在奥委会一个都不能少的要求和赛车运动的实际情况间取得了平衡。毕竟前面只是解决了参赛问题，而实际的赛制可以有很多操作空间。我们来看看赛制中精妙的设计。首先，线上海选一共会选出11人，包括新加坡的1人。这些一组选手是通过全球线上海选的激烈竞争晋级，水平自然是毫无疑问的顶尖，属于卷王之王。而其他73个地区的2组素人选手 虽然也直接进入新加坡的线下比赛，但需要先与一组的卷王们进行一场单圈排位预赛，再取其中最快的12人进入真正的决赛。看到了吗？二组虽然人多，但真正能进入决赛角逐的大概率只有1人，而且大概率也是吊车尾，不构成什么实际影响。二组选手们的实际作用，不客气地说，就是作为吉祥物，体现奥运赛事的全球性和公平性。在新加坡的决赛即将开始前，二组的选手信息也终于公开。不出所料，这些人的成分非常复杂，有职业的电竞车手，有职业的拉力车手，但是也有油管网红，有连海选的金银铜牌都无法取得的真菜鸟玩家。有的人以臭鱼烂虾的水平在新加坡跑出了六亲不认的潇洒节奏，有的人没有跑出有效成绩，而有的人到了新加坡干脆都没有去参加比赛。他们究竟去新加坡干了啥，成为了连走进科学都无法回答的未解之谜。二组的选手实力多样性堪称本次比赛的一大笑点。与其大动干戈搞白左那一套，还不如让我们的头部选手上去试试，比如国内海选第1的李运宏，比如实力超群已被世界冠军盯上的刘俊涛。其实这个拧巴的赛制问题想要彻底解决，从技术上来说也很简单，只要允许玩家在进入奥运等官方大赛时，无视 PSN 账号的地区，选择另一好了，说了这么久的奇葩赛制，我们回来看正式的决赛比赛。不幸中的万幸，就是最终的决赛并没有受到奇葩赛制的影响，仍然保持了世界级的高水平。在赛前的前瞻视频和专栏中，我给出过自己的预测。这次比赛最值得关注的3个人，分别是海选的杆位获得者意大利选手曼加诺、法国天才少年杜蒙、宝刀未老的智利选手伊诺斯特拉扎。曼加诺是 GT 赛车电竞的老将了，此次海选速度惊人，但他正赛表现一直不佳，此次不知道是否会有所突破。杜蒙去年刚刚到达18岁的参赛年龄，在参加的第1场 GT 赛车世界系列赛中就技惊4座，处子秀就成为国家杯和车赏杯的双料冠军，速度和稳定性都出奇的好。伊诺斯特拉扎同样是一名老将，而且是越老越纯的那种，不仅没有泯然众人，反而比以前更快了，同样值得期待。另外，本次比赛相比上届奥运有大量新面孔，正赛肯定会充满变数。决赛在奥运电竞周的第3个比赛日中午进行。当天我到达现场后，干的第一件事自然就是先跟赛场中央的冠军奖杯合影，然后就是看看现场的设备情况。出乎意料的是，虽然 PD 刚刚官宣了 Fnatic 的官方伙伴身份，现场的设备仍然是清一色的图马斯特 TGT2 原装套装，连踏板都没给配个更高级的 TLCM。我猜测，要么这就是 GT 赛车线下比赛的统一设定，要么是奥委会对设备统一性的要求。后续可以关注8月份在阿姆斯特丹举办的 GT 赛车世界系列赛的设备情况。比赛使用的游戏是奥运定制版 GT7， 包含所有 GT7 的内容，但在多人游戏菜单中多了线下比赛的功能。在赛前，游戏画面停留在一个多人对战的设置页面上。从后续选手的操作可以看到，只需选择一个预设好的选手，就可以直接进入比赛房间了。在选手悉数入场后，他们各就各位，开始进行一圈定名次的排位赛。伊诺斯特拉扎第3个出场，早早刷出了一个1分14秒700的成绩，这比全球海选期间的杆位成绩还要好，可以说技惊4座。接下来，曼加诺的排位圈有明显的失误，仅跑出1分15秒3，再次中了大赛不稳的魔咒。最后，大家都等着杜蒙压轴出场，但他刚跑完第1赛段，就发生了视频开始时的那一幕。我当时以为是游戏崩溃了，但后来把现场照片放大一看，发现是有人用同一个账号在另一台机子上打开了奥运定制版 GT7， 把杜蒙的比赛账号踢下线了，这就十分离谱了。无论这件事是怎么发生的，都体现出了竞赛管理的不规范。比赛也因此中断了10分钟。 去年在萨尔茨堡的 GT 赛车世界系列赛期间，比赛就因网络问题触发过红旗，中断1小时之久。GT7 线下比赛的问题属实是有点多。不过天才少年并未因此影响发挥，在比赛恢复后，他跑出了1分14秒710的成绩，位列第2发车。接下来就是正赛了，在排位赛和正赛的间隙里，杜蒙接受了简单采访，他透露了一个关键信息。
We have just one hour practice for this race, so
没错，虽然正赛的赛车、赛道、圈数是早就确认了，但具体的比赛细则，比如油耗和胎损倍率、必须使用的轮胎配方等最关键的策略相关信息，是在比赛当日早上才公布给选手的，而且只给了选手们1小时的时间练习。在这极其有限的练习时间内，选手们获得的信息会决定他们的正赛策略，而在这场长达1小时的决赛中，策略的选择和执行就将是决定胜负的关键。正赛是用丰田 GR010 跑42圈深邃森林赛道，这条原创赛道也是我们 H1GT 很喜欢的一条赛道，有适合超车的大直道，也有复杂弯道考验技术。油耗1倍，所以不会有节油的顾虑。轮胎方面，软中硬3套胎都可以使用，且必须至少使用其中2套，加上6倍胎损的设定，让轮胎策略成为这场比赛的胜负手。比赛即将开始，我们来听现场的原声解说。由于比赛较长，我们将关注的重点放到前3起步的伊诺斯特拉扎、杜蒙和默多克身上。中游如果有精彩镜头也会带到。
As the drivers make their way to the timing line, the Olympic Esports Series Motorsport Event Finals are underway here in Singapore. It's Angel Enestrosa that leads the field across the timing line, down towards the first corner, followed by Kilian Drumont and Will Murdoch. Nobody darting out into the braking zone at the moment in the first part of the circuit, but Yasuki Goto there getting his elbows out on Anton, moving his way up into 8th place, but dropping back in the early stages of the first sector, right to the back of the field as Enestrosa leads the way from Drumont and Murdoch.
But now, this man, Angel Enestrosa, needs to be on it straight away. He needs to be pulling away from his pack behind him. Already a small gap there between him and Kilian Drumont, the Frenchman, as we go onto the back straight for the first time. Will Murdoch there, up into P3 already, so he's now looking to try and challenge, I think, Kilian Drumont. Someone else who said he was decent in pace, in the race pace with Will, so we'll keep an eye on him as he progresses, but Enestrosa now stretching that lead up to 0.6 of a second.
The thing is here for Kilian Drumont, he might end up being a bit of a sitting duck, because if Enestrosa is able to pull out the gap in the early stages, he might fall out of slipstream range, Drumont.
Yeah, that's something we haven't mentioned around here, of course, is the draft, the slipstream, running behind a car in front. Basically takes away the air resistance of the car you're in, so you're a bit quicker in a straight line. And that we tend to say that that's in range to about a second and a bit, 1.2 seconds, 1.1 seconds, around there or so. And Enestrosa is starting to approach that gap now, where Drumont will no longer be benefiting from that slipstream. So Enestrosa now, sorry, I've just noticed, Tom, the gap is now, he's out of slipstream range, and you're noticing straight away that Will Murdoch has closed onto the back of Kilian Drumont once again, because he still benefits from the draft that Drumont now unfortunately no longer does. So that is the difference there. You're seeing the soft tyre, you're seeing the speed differential. It's not as if Enestrosa, as good as he is, has just pulled out a second a bit on Kilian Drumont. That is a tyre advantage, and you'll see as the laps go on, that tyre advantage will become less and less as that soft tyre wears away.
And also there's two sides of the coin here, aren't there? Because there's no fuel strategy involved, so you don't need to worry about lifting and coasting and trying to get as long as possible into the race as you can. But also, you don't want to be stuck behind in the dirty air with, you know, which is what Will Murdoch is going to be in that position at the moment. On board once again with Jose Serrano. He's close to the back here of Adriano Carrazza. Be a bit of a Dandare move if he does it on the brakes. He's certainly having a half look up the inside. Side by side they go. Serrano's through into 4th place. That was brilliantly executed and very good racing respect from Adriano Carrazza, down into 5th place as well. Drumont is the man in the pound seat here, because the differential between the lap times we were thinking was 0.6 of a second, but if you look at the lap times last time around, Enestrosa a 1:15.9. I know his tyres are a bit more towards the end of their shelf life. Drumont was a 1:16.2, so only 0.3 of a second. If he can keep that gap at a constant sort of 4.5 seconds as it stands for now, when he makes his next call in terms of the tyres, this could be really crucial here for Kilian Drumont. And we don't actually have a strategy written down for starting on the medium and then going on to the softs, but it's certainly not out of the realms of possibility.
No, definitely not. And I think now this man, Angel Nostroza, is going to be starting to feel that tyre wear, especially on those rear tyres there, down to 25% almost of their wear life, which means coming out of these corners here is going to be very, very difficult. The car's going to want to spin up the rear wheels, and when you do that, of course, you open the opportunity to maybe even have a spin yourself or just lose a little bit of time. I think you see coming into the pit lane now. So there you go, our first pit stop. Angel Nostroza into the pits after 11 laps on that soft compound of tyre, going to the medium compound of tyre. Again, not a strategy that we've got written down here, but I think maybe that medium tyre, I think it's going to go maybe soft, medium, soft. I don't think that's going to go to the end from here.
伊诺斯特拉扎选择在第11圈进站，软胎换中胎，这比赛前 PD 给到的软胎开局进站策略要早了2圈。软胎的磨损要快于赛前的预期。
Before the start of this one, so into the pit lane we go. Change of tyres for him.
So what he's going to be hoping here is he comes out in clear air. If he comes out behind Elif or Anton, he's going to be held up dramatically. So there they are. Oh, fantastic there. That's pretty much ideal for Angel Nostroza. He's got a little bit of a gap in front of him so he can drive into that gap on these fresh medium tyres. Everything going well for Angel Nostroza so far.
First pit stop.
Yeah, Kylian Drummond comes into the pits. Interestingly, not followed by Will Murdoch.
杜蒙在第14圈进站，也比赛前 PD 给到的中胎开局进站策略要早2圈，但他身后的默多克保胎做得更好，仍然留在赛道上。从这时起，策略的混战逐渐展开了。
Let's have a look though at this battle between 5th and 6th place. Gotto versus Etemesian. Metion to the inside then. Can he get the move done at the first corner? They run side by side on the exit. Gotto is not giving any quarter. They're going to go 2 by 2 into this left-hander, but it's so difficult to thread the eye of a needle through here. Incredible driving between these two players, and Etemesian does manage to get 5th place ahead of Yasuki Gotto. Fantastic!
I've never seen cars go side by side there before. That's impressive. And Kylian Drummond out the pit lane, importantly, out ahead of both Elif and Anton as well. So again, similar to Nostroza, he's put himself in some nice clear air, but interestingly, 5.7 seconds behind Angel Nostroza. That gap's come up.
Pressure as Serrano comes into the pits, and he has gone to the hard tyre in the mid-stint then here.
And Karatsa to the soft. So we're going to see a little bit of diversions of strategy now for the top runners. This is going to get interesting. So Karatsa on this next stint is going to be a bit of a rocket. So he ideally wants to come out in some clear air so we can use that soft compound tyre to its full force, but we're unaware of what's going to happen or not. Here's Serrano there, taking a little break as well. These pit stops are nice for the drivers because whilst it is, of course, a way of changing tyres, it's also a nice moment just to chill out, take a breath, and then get back into the battle.
Oh, Serrano, though, he's emerged behind a leaf here. He's got that to do, hasn't he? That's not what you want. You want clear air, and it's not working at all here for him. He should be able to dispatch of a leaf pretty quickly, given the fact he's on a quicker compound of tyre, and of course they're a lot fresher than the old hards, but still not ideal for him.
萨拉诺在第17圈进站换硬胎，基本遵循了 PD 赛前给到的中换硬策略。他是这场比赛中唯一使用一停策略的选手。
Kylian Drummond, a couple of tenths of a second quicker than Angel Nostroza. Both of these drivers on the medium compound of tyres at this stage of the race. Difference in strategies, of course, because we know that Drummond's gone medium. Nostroza, meanwhile, has gone soft on to the medium tyres. But a couple of tenths of a second separating them. 5.5 seconds out here on the track as well. So it's still relatively consistent between the two. Drummond's lost a second or so. That could be the difference between being able to get the undercut when he wants to, or slotting in behind him when it comes into the latter stages of the race. But we're now over half race distance here, and it's Drummond the man who has got the pressure on him to try and deliver. You can see there a couple of tenths of a second slower over the last few laps than in Nostroza, up until the most recent one when he was able to just go that little bit faster.
I'm thinking that Angel has made the right choice here on tyres. I think what he's going to try and do, he's going to try and go to like lap 30 or so on these mediums, then we'll go back to the soft tyre. And I think that the stint that he had at the start of the race, that first stint, is going to win in this race if he can make that work. You can see his tyre wear though at the rear is starting to get fairly bad fairly quickly, so he's really got to nurse those medium tyres if he's going to make that work. So we're in the shows, we've seen a lot of people make the move here, get into the slipstream behind, get the overspeed. Here it comes. Will he go to the inside wall, hence the defend? He does, so he's going to make Karatsa go the long way around here. They're going to fight for it. Will Karatsa be able to outbrake him? Look around the outside, it's on the wrong line there. He's going to go really wide and try and get the cut back here. Oh, textbook there from Karatsa side by side. Oh, what a move! You love to see that. Karatsa there played him like a fiddle. Well done. Up to P4 goes the Brazilian.
Classy from Karatza as he elevates himself then up a position as they come across the line once again. Karatza's next target is Will Murdoch, but he's 6 seconds adrift of that. But I tell you what, he's not taking it lying down, is Hengse here. Side by side they go into the first corner. The Hungarian trying to go the long way around the outside. Is he going to be able to do it? They run side by side on the exit of the turn. In towards the S-bends we go. And it's Hengse then with the inside line, but Karatza with more grip underneath him and more tyre life left. And Hengse's off. He's into the wall nearly. And through the door goes Giorgio Mangano as it was opened by Ben Hengse there. A slight moment in that first sector cost the Hungarian driver quite dearly.
His tyres very worn at the moment. Those soft tyres have been on the car for a while, and I think maybe just got away from him. He was pushing a bit too hard. The tyre gave up, and off he went into the barrier. So now let's focus on the front of the field, because Angel Enestrosa and Kylian Drumont are doing pretty much identical lap times, but that gap has now come down to 4.1 seconds. So Drumont's taken about 1.5 seconds out of Enestrosa this stint, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's going to be important coming into that last important stint on what I assume is going to be the soft tyre. You can see the difference there in the tyre wear. Drumont's got about another 15% on the rear tyres over Enestrosa, and he's going to be feeling that now, especially over these acceleration zones.
Well, this is what we saw between Hengse and Karatza here. They were on board here with Giorgio Mangano. Talk us through this, Jimmy.
So let's have a look. They're side by side, and Hengse there on the inside actually gets on the grass a little bit, and now he's a bit frustrated, goes for a lunge and just gets on the throttle a bit too aggressively on that left-hander, and the car gets away from him. It steers to the left, and that's the worst thing possible. When your car goes left and the next corners are right, you're in the cockpit going, oh dear, this ain't right. And unfortunately for him, ends a little bit of a charge on it, and as such, he has to come into the pit lane now to switch over to another set of those soft tyres. But I think that's too early to go onto the soft tyres to go to the end. I don't think those softs are going to make it to the end of the race.
No, it's about 12 laps or so is the tyre life. But then again, some drivers have been able to extend it by a couple of laps or so. It's going to be a tall ask for Hengse. Either way, it's going to be a bit of a sitting duck at the end of this one, because they will be pretty clapped out. Here is Angel Enestrosa. As you said, Jimmy, the gap has come down even further now to 3.6 seconds. So Kylian Drumont with an absolutely brilliant middle stint here, trying to put himself very much in contention. Enestrosa's going to have to pit sooner than Drumont, you would imagine, because he's got less tyre life, and he comes in at the end of lap 27. So Drumont will continue on because he's got at least another lap left of life in him. And now this is the time where Drumont needs to push like a man possessed. He needs to get every ounce of speed that's left in that Toyota GR010 out of it as much as he possibly can, because this is his time to shine, to try and get that undercut effectively over Angel Enestrosa.
Well, Enestrosa here is pitting early, so he'll be a bit quicker coming out for the first couple of laps, of course, but his tyres have been a bit more worn towards the end. Now, we think that we're going to see Drumont go onto the soft tyre for his last race. Now, interestingly, Enestrosa has come out behind a little bit of traffic there, so this could be huge and have huge implications for the race here in the motorsport event here in the Olympic Esports Series. And Enestrosa, maybe we're starting to see a little bit of a hold in the strategy plan from him.
Is this a chink in the armour for Angel then? Well, we're about to find out, because he's stuck behind De Bruyne at the moment. He's not close enough to mount an attack at the moment. De Bruyne also on the medium tyres, but they're a lot more worn than the fresh rubber that is underneath the Chilean driver at the moment. He needs to dispatch of him very quickly as he possibly can. You can see the laps of tyre life. De Bruyne there, 14 laps he's been on those medium compound tyres, and they are going to be very worn indeed. Enestrosa needs to try and dispatch of him as soon as he possibly can, maybe into the hairpin bend, but he's just a bit too far away as it stands for now. Not good at all. His best hope will be that the Dutchman goes into the pits at the end of this lap.
This isn't really hurting him right now. Actually, it's helping him. He's getting a little bit of a slipstream, so I think what we'll try and do is pass him down towards T1 here. He does not go into the pit lane, so he's going to have to pass him the old-fashioned way on circuit. And look at the overspeed here you get from a slipstream. Is he close enough? I think he will be. He'll go for a move to the inside here. He must do for his race. He does. De Bruyne doesn't think about defending. I think he just thinks, you know what, there's no point here. I know this guy is quick. I'm going to let him by. But saying that, he comes back at him there, and this is what Enestrosa does not want. He's forced wide onto the grass there. That's going to cost him a lot of time there. And Enestrosa now went from what looked like a dream opportunity for an overtake, and has now lost time. His tyres are going to be dirty as well. And this is awesome if you're Kylian Drumont, because your main competitor is stuck losing time behind a car that's slower.
The Frenchman is absolutely flying out there as well, a 1:16.5. Actually not the quickest man out on track. That goes to Will Murdoch, who is in second place, also on the same strategy as Kylian Drumont as it stands for now. So this could be, again, playing into the hands of Murdoch, but he's still got 3.7 seconds to make up in terms of the deficit between himself and the Frenchman.
If I was Murdoch, I'd pit now, softs, and just go for it, because you're not going to catch him. You're not going to catch 4 seconds up on mediums. You've got to get out there and make the calls, make the big strategy calls to make it work. But we'll see if he decides to do that or not. So here's going to be a replay of De Buren and Inestrosa. So Inestrosa goes up the inside here. He does sort of overshoot it a bit, which then, of course, opens him up for another move here. And De Buren, I think, just sort of... I say runs him off the circuit a bit there, but I think at that point, Inestrosa's so far behind that he's got to just concede the corner. It's one for the stewards, definitely, but now De Buren has come into the pit lane, but of course, the damage is already done to Inestrosa, and when Drummond pits, we'll have to see what sort of lap time he comes up. Inestrosa's last lap was a 17.9, so we lost 1.5 seconds to Drummond there.
So De Buren then into the pits, goes onto the soft compound of tyres with 12 laps now remaining then here. Where is he going to emerge? It's behind Anton then, so he's got work to do then. Here is Kylian Drummond meanwhile making hay whilst the sun shines, and now Inestrosa with clear air in front of him can try and run the race as best as he can, but has he lost too much time squabbling with the Dutchman that we saw just a couple of laps ago? Drummond's going to come into the pit lane at the end of lap 30 then, so this will be his final stop in the race, and it's always going to be onto the soft compound tyres. Of course you are. There's no other option here for him because he's been running on the mediums throughout the entirety of this one. Karatza also pits and goes onto the soft compound tyres. Murdoch decides to continue on with what looks to be, presumably, an overcut here.
Well, here we go then. We're going to find out now where Inestrosa is compared to Drummond. And this is going to be huge for the race. Drummond sitting in the pit lane for what will feel like an age as Inestrosa goes by in the pit lane. Let's have a look. Out comes Kylian Drummond. Where is Angel Inestrosa?
He's going to be really close. He's already going to be ahead down to the first turn. Yeah, he's got an advantage over Kylian Drummond. So Angel Inestrosa emerges then effectively in the race lead because the drivers in front haven't made their second stop then in this one. Serrano, Etemezion and Will Murdoch all out of sequence at the moment, but I have to say Will Murdoch, his pace on those medium tyres looking really, really strong, and I just wonder, between the gap between himself and Kylian Drummond, he might be able to go onto the soft tyres that bit later, have more tyre life left at the end of the race and close that deficit down if those mediums that if those softs that Drummond's on wear out quicker and they fall off the cliff.
I just don't think it's going to work. I think he should have pitted earlier, frankly, and tried to get the undercut and then try and defend it from the end, you know, because it's hard to catch these guys. But now the gap between Inestrosa and Drummond is 2.7 seconds. This is going to be an awesome end to the race, and Drummond has the upper hand here. I think even with the issue that Inestrosa had here with De Buren towards the end of his last stint, I don't think he'd have enough. We're going to see now Kylian Drummond really turn up the wick. He has every opportunity here to win the Olympic Esports Series Motorsport event if he can just get those soft tyres in one piece.
在过去的这几圈，几乎所有人都完成了2停，策略混战的局势已经明朗。伊诺斯特拉扎在1停后逐渐被使用更新中胎的杜蒙追进，他紧跟杜蒙的策略，也选择使用2中1软，因此提前进站，舍弃了第3套胎使用软胎的可能性。但很不巧，在出站后跟荷兰选手缠斗，冲出赛道损失了大量时间，因此在杜蒙2停换软胎后，只领先2秒多的他很快就会被追到尾流区。另外，使用1停策略的塞拉诺此时使用硬胎位列第1。他们3个使用完全不同轮胎的选手，很快就会缠斗到一块儿。
In fact, that was the fastest lap of the entire race there from Kylian Drummond, a 1:15.1, which would have put him, I think, 8th or 9th on the grid for qualifying. So incredibly fast now as we get into these later stages of the race.
Jose Serrano there now, very much in touching distance here for Inestrosa. Might be a bit of a welcome blessing for the Chilean there because he'll be within slipstreaming range and can just cruise on by him because we know that that's hard tyre is not going to have the grip under braking in mid-corner and on the exit of the turn, so it will be a relatively short battle between those two drivers. But
another fastest lap as well, 15.0 this time for Drummond. Now Inestrosa, as you can see looking back from Serrano, is going to have to find a way by quickly. If he gets caught behind in this middle sector, it's pretty much over because it's going to be susceptible to the overtake on the last half of the course. So you can see the difference there in the tyre life, how much quicker Inestrosa is, and now he's probably thinking, come on, get out of the way. I've got Drummond right behind me and he is fast. fast. He's looking for any opportunity, but he can't get by. Serrano does not have to get out of the way. It doesn't matter if he's on a slower tyre or not. His obligation is just to stay where he is and stay on the racing line. But you can see now the gap has come right down to him. It's right on the back of Inestrosa now, as he's had to wait behind Serrano coming onto the straight. This might be it for Inestrosa.
Oh, yeah, you're completely right. It could be a potential opportunity to attack here for Kylian Drumont as well, through the tunnel into the daylight, and then we head towards the braking zone of the hairpin. We're on board here with Kylian Drumont. Inestrosa in front is going to attack against Serrano. What is Drumont going to be able to do? Well, he's got a good watching picture of it. He's going to go up the inside of the Spaniard as well, try and pick his pocket as Inestrosa goes through into the race lead. Serrano is dispatched, and now his next target is going to be Kylian Drumont, who is right up on his rear wing as they go through the left-handed kink and come across the timing line. It's going to be Drumont on the attack then, with the advantage in pace and speed. He's got the hole being pushed in the air in front of him as Serrano here. Could Drumont go two for the price of one? He can! It's going to be an overtake for the race lead. Here comes Drumont to the inside, and the Frenchman leads at the start of lap 35. Serrano into second place, ahead now of Angel Inestrosa as well. What drama here! What brilliant precision and driving and strategy calling from Kylian Drumont. And now it's all about if he can retain that advantage to the checkered flag.
We're going to have to see if there was contact there. Unfortunately, our camera director decided that the blank main straight was more interesting than the battle we were watching, so we didn't see actually overtake itself. So I'm wondering if there was a bit of contact, because Inestrosa was very slow out of the first corner, and now he's stuck back behind Jose Serrano, which is a nightmare for the Chilean driver. And Kylian Drumont, for him, this is a blessing. He's now got free space ahead of him, a car that's very quick, and he'll be able just to put into that gap now. And there you go, under investigation, Drumont and Inestrosa. This could still change the race.
Inestrosa up through into second place then, so nicely done for him ahead of Jose Serrano. Side by side they were very briefly, and now Serrano is the man who is just trying to attack. Let's have another look and see if we can piece together what happened. So down the start-finish straight we are. It's Inestrosa in the lead. Look at Kylian Drumont, jinxed to the inside of the Spaniard, and then in turn with Inestrosa here as well. There's a bit of hip and shoulder between them on the entry of the corner, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And he goes through into the race lead. As a result, Serrano then up into second as Inestrosa demoted down to third.
I'd say that's a fairly clear hit from me. I mean, Inestrosa maybe did move across a bit there, but something I noticed, I don't know if you did, Tom, that Inestrosa just didn't really know where to go. He was sat in the middle of a circuit. He didn't really defend it, but also he didn't really open the door either. So Drumont, I think, went for the pass. There was that contact there, and now we're going to see really if the stewards think that was fair or not. And it depends really when they make a decision. If they make it soon, we might see Inestrosa get back by. If we don't, then this is going to have ramifications for the end of the race here.
Let's have another look and see if we can piece together what happened. Talk us through this one here, Jimmy.
So we're on board with Drumont. We're up the inside of Serrano. We know that move's there. Go up the inside on... Yeah, there's just contact. He hits the back of him.
But the gap's there. He's half a way along the inside. I mean, you could argue it's 6 in one, half a dozen of the other, couldn't you?
Gap's there, but you hit him. You can't hit someone. And that result caused him to gain the position. So... I don't know. We'll see what the stewards say. But no, there is, as you say, an argument that he was on the inside, but Inestrosa can't disappear. He can't just vanish.
But he could have. But there was also a little bit of room on the outside. You could argue that he could have opened the steering a little bit, perhaps allowed a little bit more room through there. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the stewards here. Meanwhile, Kylian Drumont is the man who leads the race. The thing is, if there is a penalty awarded, it'll be a time penalty, and it'll have to come before the end of this race. And the thing is, what's his gap now? Nearly 3 seconds over Angel Inestrosa. So it's going to be... Oh, it's going to be tight, isn't it, if that is awarded? And we haven't seen, I don't think I've seen a graphic. I know we've been looking at a lot of other things.
It's been investigated.
It's been investigated.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So it is being investigated between these drivers. So, right, there we are then. No further action. So they deem it as a racing incident as well. So
they've got more cameras than we have up here in the commentary booth. So we always go for what the stewards say there. But that does mean that Drumont is pretty much home free now. All he's got to do is bring his car to the end, and he will be, of course, the winner of the motorsport event here at the Olympic Esports Series.
这一段混战后，赛事干事认为杜蒙的超越是合法的，那么基本上冠军已经尘埃落定。接下来的关注焦点就是经历了一连串灾难的伊诺斯特拉扎能否保住第二。
But here it is. Here is the battle we've been talking about. Will Murdoch is closing in on Angel Inestrosa. Will has got his dad here today, cheering him along in the audience. I'm sure made the long journey all the way out to Singapore with Will, and this will mean a lot to them. Of course, the win out of clutch now, I think, but see on the braking just how much more performance Will has on those soft tyres.
Well, he's used to designing railway sleepers in CAD drawings, and it's been a bit of a sleeper of a race, but now it is coming right alive for Will Murdoch here as we come on to the start of the penultimate lap as he comes across the timing line in the wheel tracks here of Angel Inostroza. The Chilean defends to the inside then. Will Murdoch's going to have to do this the long way around the outside into the first corner. Inostroza there holds firm on the inside. Will Murdoch then pushed to the outside and almost off onto the grass. Bit of contact between the two. Murdoch is up into second place.
There you go, great move there from Will Murdoch. I think Inostroza was a bit cheeky there on exit, trying to squeeze him to the exit, but Murdoch there up into P2 and on to the second step on the podium. And Inostroza there, I'm sure, absolutely gutted that he's not able to make this strategy work, down to P3 at the moment. Luckily for him, Karatz is a little way behind. I don't think he's going to be a threat towards the end of the race, but we're only a lap and a half away from the end here of the motorsport event here live at Singapore from the Olympic Esports Series, and only a lap and a half to go for Kylian Drumont.
Let's have another look here, Jimmy. Talk us through.
Yeah, so Murdoch goes to the outside there, uses the grip of the soft tyre, runs it all the way, uses the downforce too, has the grip there. I think Inostroza just, I don't think it was contact, I think he just tried to nail the throttle and had no grip, and that was it. Yeah, less than half a lap to go now for Kylian Drumont, for making history here in Singapore to be the winner of the Olympic Esports event, the motorsport event here. The pressure must be huge, but he can pretty much just drive to the line now in his own time and still come away the winner. It's not been all plain sailing for the Frenchman up until this point, but this will feel like redemption for him, I think. A difficult qualifying and now coming to the end of a lap.
Well, we were asking questions at the start of this one as to who was going to be able to take the checkered flag first, who would call the strategy right, who would not be able to crack under pressure, and what a drive it has been from the young Frenchman. King Kylian comes out of the final corner then, here at Singapore on the Deep Forest Raceway, through into the checkered flag he goes, and it's Kylian Drumont who wins the Olympic Esports Series motorsport event in 2023. What a drive from the Frenchman. Will Murdoch comes home in second place. What a great performance from the Briton, and Angel Inostroza third place for him on the podium as well.
好的，比赛结束，杜蒙完美执行了比赛策略，可以说是较为轻松地拿下了冠军。赛后采访里，他分享了赛前练习时获得的关键信息。
Yeah, I see on the practice the soft on the first stint is useless. The soft is tire wear is so much. So I say, I see Inostroza start on soft. I say, oh.
这样，在本届奥运电竞周的10个项目中，法国选手一共拿下了4个冠军，让法国成为了唯一一个获得多项冠军的国家，是本届大赛的最大赢家。英国选手默多克跑了一场安静但稳定的比赛，获得亚军，而有点倒霉加上策略过于保守的伊诺斯特拉扎错失好局，仅获季军。整场比赛是非常标准的 GT 顶级赛事，虽然没有上一届奥运电竞那样斗到最后一弯的戏剧性场面，但策略的乱斗仍然赏心悦目。而且这次新加坡的线下观赛之旅，让我进一步感受到了 GT 电竞的魅力。现场伴随声光效果的氛围，很容易就让人把注意力沉浸其中，跟观众和解说们一起呼喊、揣摩选手策略的感觉实在是太棒了。这跟在手机或显示器上看电竞的感觉完全不同。虽然现场发生了比赛中断的插曲，但并没有影响到正赛。事后看来也是有趣的回忆，毕竟是有了这次事故，我才有机会出现在了比赛的直播信号里。不过，作为一个中国的 GT 赛车玩家，我当然还是最希望看到国内的选手能出现在世界赛场上，也能像上一期的武力全开项目那样，在现场跟自己的选手聊一聊，做个采访和记录。我相信，随着现在国内模拟赛车的玩家逐渐增加，以及 GT 赛车项目赛制和规则的不断优化，这个领域里的周冠宇应该不会让我们等太久。好了，本届新加坡奥运电竞周的比赛内容就更新到这里，我是欢乐仔 Racing Raymond。我们下届奥运电竞再见。